Yeah, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, pushers, los miembros del cartel de Conecto. What's going on, pusher men, pusher women? My name is Johnny Mitchell. Welcome back to another live stream of the Connect. Merry Christmas. I assume there's not many Jews listening, so I'm going to give a blanket Merry Christmas to all my Gentiles, but we do want Jews. Don't get me wrong. We love them. So please write in if you're a Jew. You'll get we'll throw you something for the anti-Semitism that's been going on with Kanye. Brian, what can we give him? We'll send him like a pin or we'll send him a free T-shirt.
I'm an honorary member of the chosen people. So
yeah, you're not. You're an Irishman.
Right.
You see a cloudy day and you get excited.
My partner's Jewish. I grew up I was basically growing up in the Valley. One of my only friends that didn't have a bar mitzvah. I celebrated Hanukkah the same way that we celebrate Christmas, it was just as big.
Hey, man, I'm talking to the fans now. I'm talking to you out there in Iowa. I'm talking to you out there in Minnesota. I'm talking to you out there in the heartland. Merry Christmas. I hope you had a good time. This is the week between the holidays. This is that no man's land time between Christmas and New Year's where you're sitting around, you feel disgusting, you got a sugar hangover, you're back on the bottle, you got in a fight with your family, your relationship's failing, and in the new year you're going to have to sit down and have a talk.
This feels like one of your ad reads right now.
And quite frankly, I would go to betterhelp.com/theconnect to get 10% off to discuss your problems with somebody, because I'm not going to be able to solve your problems. But you know what? I am honestly a better therapist than BetterHelp. You know what I'm saying? So you don't even need BetterHelp. Just subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/theconnectshow, or become a member right now. Become a member of the YouTube channel. You get to participate in these live chats. Brian, tell them why that's a benefit. Tell them why they must become a member to participate. It is what it is, but you can also give money and we'll ask too.
Look, we get a lot of questions when these episodes come out. And we're doing these streams. You got questions about this morning's episode? The ways of making money.
Yes, I hope you enjoyed the new episode that we dropped this morning. This was about how I made money in the Coke business, how you actually make money in the Coke business. You know, a lot of people think it's just you just become a millionaire overnight when you get that plug. Not necessarily. You must know what you're doing. If you have questions, go ahead and ask. But you must be a member of you must either give money. You're giving money, guy. You want this advice. It is what it is. You either can become a Patreon member.
Plus ad-free versions.
You get ad-free
of the episodes, uncensored versions of the episodes.
Yeah, and we're going to start doing live one-on-ones. I want to do those one-on-ones with people, with the Patreon members. I want to literally, like a therapist, I want to become a life coach, dude. I'm a comedian. I am the Andrew Tate of the comedy world. I've been told that recently, and I agree. I am your guy, but I'm less annoying, and I don't have a dumb quasi-British accent, which I think he's making up. I want to be your life coach. I want to be your business coach. I want to be your lover. Wow. You must. Do you see what I'm saying? But we're going to do that. We need to step up.
Subscriptions are tanking right now. I don't know what just happened.
We need to step up our content output, because that's what separates good business people, successful people, from everybody else. We never think we're doing enough. We never think you talk to somebody who is kind of loafing. They're like, well, I need to take a holiday off. I need to take off. I'm doing everything I can. We're not doing as much as we can. So we are going to step up our output 2x. And that's for you. And that's because you're supporting the channel. That's because you are a member of the inner circle as a pusher. And of course, subscribe, become a member of YouTube. And yeah, if you just give us some money right now, we'll answer your questions too. If you don't feel like you want to subscribe just yet, but you want to participate in these super chats, throw us a couple of dollars. I'll tell you why your marriage is failing. Yeah, you guys, let's get into it. This is big news. Big news. They're coming for them. El Mencho's brother. Can we pull up a picture of him?
You want a picture of El Mencho's brother?
Antonio Oseguero, also known as El Tony Montana. So this is Mencho's brother, was arrested last week in Guadalajara, in the outskirts of Guadalajara, with a cache, or is it a cache? With a cache of weapons. So first of all, can we just look at this guy really quick? I mean, how funny are Mexicans? before we get into the meat and potatoes of this article, zoom on that guy's head. Tell me that guy isn't a third base coach for the Mexican national baseball team.
I mean,
he's tell me this guy isn't a matter D at, some Mexican restaurant in Palm Springs.
But is that what we're doing? Like, when you were selling drugs, everybody was going, this guy's 5 seconds away from asking me if I know who his father is.
I mean, how cute is this guy? I'm just telling you, like, I don't understand how Mexicans can be so violent when they're such funny people. This guy looks like Fred Flintstone. This guy's head, this guy's head should be on Easter Isle. That's a dome piece right there. He's a cute man, and I want him to be my uncle, this guy. But he's a murderously violent guy, right? So this is what we have right here. So essentially, this guy was the logistics coordinator for the CJNG, for the Nuevo Jalisco cartel, number 2, just right below Sinaloa as the most powerful drug cartel in Mexico. He was arrested on last Tuesday, in Guadalajara. So they're coming, and he was arrested by the military. So as we've learned, the military is not as corruptible as the rest of the law enforcement bodies in Mexico. So clearly what's happened is, and Brian, you can jump in after I'm done here. Clearly what I think is happening is Mexico's keeping up appearances, right? Because we learned when we were in Sinaloa, how it works is basically there's an unspoken agreement between the drug cartels and the Mexican government. It's don't make us look bad. Keep it subtle, and everybody will get paid. You pay us off. You continue with your drug operations, and you feed us somebody every now and then. But if you get too big, if you start making headlines, right, like Mencho's been doing the last couple of years, there's a $10 million bounty on this guy's head. This guy he's becoming kind of like Chapo was in 2015, right? 2014. He's too famous. So this is what I think. I think the Mexican government's like, okay, you got to go. Right? Like the guys that they've given millions of dollars to for years in bribes are now saying, look, man, I got to take you out. I'm sorry. It's your time. So that's kind of what this looks like to me, because this stops nothing, right? Taking down, Oseguero, taking down his brother right here, El Tony Montana, obviously does nothing to stem the tide of anything, drugs, violence, whatever, but it's a figurehead, and that's a big head. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's a little deeper than that. You and I have kind of talked about this in regards to the cartel. It was something that you talked to Luis about, obviously in the interview that you did with him, but so I can attest to this multiple times throughout our trip out there. You can't move up. There's no moving up in the cartel unless you're blood, really. Middle management is where you can peak.
Right.
And how you get to these guys, the only real loyalty is family. Family's such a big thing culturally.
Yeah.
And so I think if you want to go after somebody, if you really want to hurt them, you go family.
Right. So that's sure, but he's also he has an important position. He's a guy that's coordinating these attacks on all of these other cartels in Mexico. He's coordinating huge weapons shipments from the U.S., of course. So he's an important player in all of this. So what I don't quite understand, and what I guess I'll never understand, and what an outsider who isn't in Mexico can't possibly fully comprehend, is the fact that every official of importance from the president on down is taking bribe money from the cartels, yet they continue to come after them. So it gets to the point where it's like, why am I even paying this bribe money? That's what I'm thinking. It's like, why am I paying you guys when you're still coming after my capos, my managers, right, in my organization?
Well, don't you think it's possible that there was some term of agreement that was broken, and that's
absolutely that's got to be what it is. The DEA had a meeting with maybe El Mayo is in on this. Maybe Mayo has some intel about where El Mayo of the Sinaloa cartel, as we know, we've talked about now quite a bit on the show. he is essentially all these guys are informants in one way or the other. They give up info on everybody else. La Barbie. I hate calling him that, but La Barbie, the guy, the henchman who is now cooperating, who just disappeared from the federal prison a couple of weeks ago, he's now absolutely cooperating with authorities. He might have some info on this guy, right? So all of the big figureheads, for the kingpins, they're all ratting on each other, giving up info as just a strategy. It's a chess move on their part. So that could have happened too.
Remind me, LaBarbie, where was his allegiance? What group was he with?
He was with Sinaloa, but he was with the Beltran Levias, and then he probably, got with Chapo, because Chapo was the one who fingered the Beltrans, right? The Beltran Leyvas. He's the one who gave the Beltran Leyvas up to the government when the government had sat down. So basically, this is kind of what it seems when you look at the history of the modern Mexican cartels, it seems like every 5 or 7 years, the cartels, the government will sit down with the cartels and be like, okay, you're getting too big for your britches. Somebody's got to go. In 2015, it was Chapo. Now here we are, 7, 8 years later, it's Mencho. Mencho's got to go. So in another 8 years, and now there will be a power vacuum. Somebody else will step up and become the new guy they're chasing.
Well, it's a power play on both sides. I think that they make these deals, and each one thinks that they're in the position with the most power on the deal, right? And
right.
So I think it goes back and forth. I think when the cartel leaders that have cut these deals feel like the government is overstepping their bounds, violence comes out. They go they go nuts. Right. When the politicians who have been taking this money think, hey, I'm losing the hand here. This guy's getting too powerful.
Right.
They take him down and they replace him with somebody else.
Right. So that's true. And listen to the violence, just by the way. I mean, the Nuevo Jalisco, these kids are wild. All right. For example, of all the attacks, okay, here we go. 2 years ago, there was an attempted assassination on the chief of police of Mexico City. Okay. This is not a small city. It's a pretty important town. Wouldn't you agree? These motherfuckers tried to kill him. More than 20 hitmen fired 414 bullets at Omar Harfuch with assault rifles in the middle of an ambush in one of the most exclusive areas of the capital. And Mexico City's got some high-end areas. They tried to whack this dude in like the Beverly Hills of Mexico City. Fired 400 rounds. He survived, but 2 of his bodyguards and a female passerby were killed in the attack. This is par for the course for Nuevo Jalisco. So this is what that guy, El Mencho's brother, he's the logistics guy who's probably organizing all of these hits.
Okay, I've got conspiracy here.
Yeah.
You ready for some conspiracy talk? Is it just a coincidence that this arrest is just a few weeks after LaBarbie goes missing?
Right.
Turns out he's talking to people.
Totally.
Is it possible? Because what we talked about last time was the biggest speculation was that he's given information on that dude Luna, who was a politician. He was the head of national security.
Right. Who's arrested, who's locked up right now, I believe.
Right. Yeah. Did they basically pull on LaBarbie's thread a little too much, find out more than they wanted, and then said, okay, we can't go the political route on this. We need to take down a kingpin?
Right. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, in Mexico, todo es posible, as they say. I mean, it's just the country just operates like a telenovela. I mean, they're just about drama and sabotage and subterfuge. It's
but isolating that to Mexico is ridiculous. I think this is the world of organized crime. When you go back through the history of, the Italian mobs, similar things. Dude.
Sure. No, I mean, absolutely. Like the Italians have a level of corruption and kind of collusion between state and the cartels, the mafia, but not like Mexico. I mean, Mexico takes the cake. I'm telling you, I've been to Colombia. I've been to Argentina.
50s to 70s Vegas is basically what you're explaining.
But nothing like, dude, there is nothing that even compares to like Chapo's brother, who's murdered in prison by a guy with a gun next to his lawyer in a lawyer visit. Tell me where that's happened before. It doesn't. I mean, Mexico, it's just such a it's a wild place. I mean, it's got a history all the way back to like Pancho Villa and the gauchos and the cowboy nature of it, and it plays itself out like this today. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They could have arrested La Barbie. They figured out, oh, I've got recordings of me paying off millions in bribes to the sitting president. And they're like, well, we can't touch that. We got to go take down somebody else. And maybe he did have info on this guy, on Mencho's brother. I mean, this is just like, I mean, Chapo, for instance, he had, it wasn't this president, the guy who was president before this guy, don't even know his name, of Mexico. They had the wiretaps of him negotiating bribe payments from Chapo. The president wanted 200 million. Chapo only wanted to pay 100 million. So he was like, this guy's really breaking my balls, this president guy. So yeah, no, it's totally possible. Now let me just read a little bit more about.
Real quick, we got a question in here.
Tony Montana,
from a member, B Ash. What's up, B Ash?
What's up, B Ash? Thank you for the support.
Unrelated, but who makes that shirt/jacket you are wearing?
Thank you, B Ash. Well, this is.
I'll answer that. It was made by a bunch of leprechauns that Johnny keeps in his basement, tied to a furnace.
It was okay. First of all, stop. Second of all, shout out, because this is from Zara. I don't know who makes it. I mean, I'm assuming a bunch
slave
of
labor.
That is a bunch of little boys in Bangladesh make it technically, but the purveyor is Zara. Shout out to Zara in the Grove. You get a lot of good deals. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Shout out to the Patreon. Shout out to the live chat. More questions. Keep them coming.
All right, so you're gonna pull up.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are wild. Like, listen to this, for example. Listen to this. Back in 2015, this is how the CJNG moves, right? Back in 2015, when El Mencho was beginning to establish himself as the heir to El Chapo in the realm of organized crime, one of El Mencho's men was killed by the Mexican army. In response, a military convoy was ambushed with 15 agents being murdered. So these dudes went and killed 15 members of the military in response to one of theirs getting killed. Then the arrest of several of the hitmen who were involved was followed by blockades throughout Jalisco and a military helicopter being shot down by a bazooka. I remember when that happened. 3 years later, when El Mencho's wife was arrested for the first time, charged with leading the cartel's financial apparatus, this was read as a governmental response to the attempted assassination of a former prosecutor. Her second arrest in 2021 resulted in the infamous case of 2 Marines being abducted. So these guys are tit for tat. I mean, they're as well armed, as organized, it seems, as the military. But again, I kind of don't believe that. I think they're very well armed. I think they are very well organized. They have a lot of intel. I still think, the Mexican military, I mean, they receive tons of aid from America. They're very sophisticated. They could take down all these guys if they wanted. They don't, because they're on the payroll, right? So I don't know. I think they're closing in on Mencho. I think Mencho's time is done. I think,
but people don't even know if he's still alive.
Right, absolutely. He probably isn't alive, because look, they got his son, they've got his wife, and now they've got his brother. So they're taking down everybody. The dominoes are falling, and they still can't find this guy.
Because
right?
he's an El Mayo type where like there's literally like one photo that exists of this guy,
right.
And it was super long ago. He's not a public, he doesn't put his face out there at all.
Right.
And I even asked Luis not that long ago about El Mayo, and I was like, because there's all the reports of him having diabetes, his health not being well. And so I asked, I was like, if Mayo dies, is this going to be like a Fidel Castro thing where we don't know about it for a while?
Yeah.
That it's just kind of kept quiet and like the public doesn't know. That's very possible with Mencho too. He's one of those guys, 100%.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and dude, up there in the in the mountains of Jalisco or Culiacan, or no, excuse me, Colima, or what's the other state that's going wild right now? Michoacan. Somebody could die or be, in a bunker somewhere, and you never find them. They could be looking for this guy for 20 years before it comes out. So, and I think these guys roll a little tighter than Sinaloa.
Well, it's also just smart business if there's going to be a death or more specifically a transition of power, that you keep it quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I want to say I think the CJNG will overtake Sinaloa or become as powerful as Sinaloa, because they seem to be way more brutal, but yet still.
Yeah, but the Zetas were way more brutal, and they don't exist anymore.
But that's how, sure, but they existed. The Zetas were brutal against ordinary people. The Jalisco, as Luis told us, the CJNG started as Zeta killers. So they literally were just a organization who sprung up, an armed group, to combat the brutality of the Zetas. These guys are only really brutal against informants or the government. Like they will come after and kill
and competing
a busload of policemen. Yes, and competing cartels. It seems like they've got the will of the people on their side, or at least, they're scared of them. But, they've got a stranglehold on the meth game, or, huge operations in meth. They were kind of ahead of that, of Sinaloa in that way. They've got, just as much cocaine import capacity, right? And they're like extorting avocado. I guess they're not without, like, crimes against ordinary people.
Extorting business.
They're extorting avocado farmers. That's the big one. They're extorting because the lime, the most, I think it's lemons or limes. Maybe it's lemons and avocados. Almost all of them come out of Michoacan, and there's huge money in that. So they've kind of been getting their hooks in those farmers because there's tons of money. I mean,
but if you're talking about
how many times your girlfriend go out to brunch and order avocado toast, that's coming from Michoacan. That's supporting the cartel. If you order $20 avocado toast, you're supporting El Mencho. Keep that in mind. What's that?
Oh, no. Keep going about avocado toast.
Yeah. No, you heard me.
I was going to say, if you think that is their power play to become the top cartel in Mexico, I mean, we could relate this back to the episode we dropped this morning where you were talking about in the blow game, it's more important to have the connect than the buyer, right?
Right.
But doesn't Sinaloa run the majority of the border? Isn't that really like in this game, they've yes, you can produce more than anybody, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't have the routes to get it to the buyers.
I think they're competing they're right up there. I mean, that's why you see violence in Tijuana all the time. When you see like flare-ups happen in TJ, it's Jalisco versus Sinaloa. According to Luis, there's no more Tijuana cartel from back in the day. So whenever you see, competing factions in TJ, for example, that's them jockeying for position. It's all because, and that's why there is so much violence at the border, is because all of the plaza bosses are controlled by one of the two groups, and nobody's local anymore. So it's these guys they're right there. I mean, you're right though. I think Sinaloa is a little more strategically set up to control more of the plazas or the border towns where the drugs get moved through. But I mean, look, it's kind of like pick your poison, right? So I mean, this is just so fascinating. But I do think this spells the end of El Mencho. I do think that's what this. I mean, how many more family members can they arrest? I mean, I know Mexicans have a lot of kids, but like it seems like they've got almost everybody besides the man himself, El Mencho, locked up,
who may or may not be dead.
Right.
All right, real quick. Shout out Chad Spencer.
Chad Spencer. We remember Chad.
Here said, loving your content.
Thanks, brother.
And then over here at Patreon, Clayton Word sent us a question.
Clayton Word.
Any advice on growing client base? I have the plug, Flower. but I don't know anyone that needs it.
Well, so he's talking about growing pot.
I'm assuming that's what flower is.
So yeah,
unless he's deep in opium fields right now.
Yeah. He's watching us from a poppy field in Jalisco right now. No, I would. Well, again, but that's kind of what I talk about in this episode, right? In the pot game, the most important person to have is a buyer, right? It's truly is a buyer's market, especially now. So look, that's just sales. I mean, if you look at all the dispensaries, the legal dispensaries that operate throughout California, they have distributors, salesmen for these growers, these legit growers who will come around like any old school salesman, and they'll give out their card and be like, "Hey, this is who I represent. These are our products. Hit us up. You know, we have different flavors and different prices." I don't know. I mean, that's like
it depends on where you are too, right?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Because in some states you can probably get a license to sell to dispensaries,
right,
if you needed to. But I mean, I think it's the same with the Yay game, where go find a college campus. There's going to be plenty of people.
Yeah, you're right. And with cocaine, the most important thing, of course, is the plug.
Right.
I think because that is such a because that's where your competitive advantage is. Like every business has a different competitive advantage. Your competitive advantage as a coke dealer is going to be you've got an basically exclusive access to product that most other dealers don't have, and that's a Border Brothers plug, right? That's a plug with a Mexican at the border, right? With pot, your competitive advantage is going to be like, yes, your quality, your price, but also it's going to be like, can you find distributors for it? So I don't know. Yeah, depends what state you're in. Yes, right. Convenience. There's many different things that go into it. I don't know a lot about it anymore, to be honest with you. But yeah, you're just going to have to figure out, hey, man, that's your own fucking problem, all right? No, you're just going to have to figure that out.
Said he wanted to be a life coach, and then
yeah. Hey, don't ask me that shit. I don't fucking know. No, it's yeah, you're just going to have to find buyers, buddy. Hey, it's a big world out there. It's a big world, and it's an almost endless market, and there's billions of people. So you can find somebody to buy.
All right, we got a question from Joseph Jones on Patreon.
Shout out to Joseph Jones. Thank you for the support. Patreon.com/The Connect Show.
Joseph asks, just wanted to ask if El Mencho left anyone in charge. If he's not in the picture or in hiding, who are they looking for? And then he followed it up. You actually, this is funny. This is something you said. There's only so much of his family they can arrest.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're gonna.
If he is out of the picture, let's say he's dead, or he's like, I got to go completely underground.
Right.
I don't think we know who has been left in charge.
No, of course not. I mean, probably there's some decentralization going on. Probably there is. God, that might be something we got to go back. We might got to go back to Mexico to because this could be the next fascinating episode. You know, with Sinaloa, after Chapo got taken down, the whole structure of the organization changed. It became a flattened, decentralized business where nobody's really on salary anymore, except basically where the business people, the drug dealers, and the cartel became two separate organizations. And the cartel exists just as muscle and to make routes for the drug dealers to move their product north, and they will get paid a percentage. That's what happened with Sinaloa. Perhaps that's happening with Jalisco as well, right? So yeah, we have no idea who's in charge of the cartel. We have no idea, but it's definitely family. It's definitely family, even if it's like a neighbor that they grew up with who they consider a brother but isn't blood linked. It's somebody these are very incestuous familial operations. So it's somebody very, very close who they trust and go way, way back with.
And they're going to keep it very close to the vest for several reasons, because if El Mencho is out of the picture, if that came out, the war zone that would break out from that would be insane. Like you were talking about,
right.
Tijuana doesn't exist anymore. It's because, was it the Felix Gallardo brothers that were running Tijuana?
The Arellano Felix brothers.
And they knocked them out and then basically just crumbled that organization and took it over.
Yeah.
And so there's no way Jalisco wants that information out if that is the case, so
Right.
that they don't meet the same fate.
Yeah, exactly. So, but if they were smart, they'll be moving towards this model of decentralization, I think. But yeah, I don't know. It depends on a lot of factors too. So, I mean, these guys are so strapped. I mean, they shot down a military helicopter with a bazooka. These guys don't play. So maybe they don't need to be as, I don't know, decentralized, right? But who knows? Who knows? But thank you for your support.
Joseph says, you guys have to go back to Mexico and stream everything. That would be so awesome. I'm not going to let you answer that right away. Yeah, we would love to. However, Johnny loves putting me at risk in these situations. I'll say that right now. Loves to get out on the street and point.
Yeah, I'm a big pointer. Hey, I'm not subtle. I realized that when we were up in the Tenderloin, walking around trying to get footage. I'm not subtle. I'm 6'6". I kind of have a lumberjack, like I lumber when I walk.
Yeah, well,
like
I have
your
like shirt choices aren't helping either.
Yeah, and I just look like I'm not supposed to be there because I'm really not. You know, I really should be on a Wall Street for. I really should be in show business at all. I should have gone to school and been a corporate lawyer. Would have made my dad proud. But instead, I'm interviewing crackheads in the Tenderloin.
My absolute favorite was me preying on your insecurity while we were walking around. You had the
my dick
REI like zip up, blue jeans and white shoes, and I was like, you look like a tech bro walking.
Yeah, I really did. Right, I really did look like a tech guy who was on his way to his son's soccer practice, and I just stopped by the Tenderloin to buy some meth on my way there. So yeah. And I tend to point a lot. I tend to it's just natural for me to want to point to where I want my cameraman to shoot. And you're not supposed to do that. It pisses the locals off. But yeah, we should go back to Mexico.
Hey, these drug dealers over here, get a shot of them.
Yeah,
pointing directly at them.
We should go back to Mexico. We really should. You know, I swore to never go back there after we escaped the last time. When we found out that not a week later, after coming back from Sinaloa, some other journalists went into Culiacan and then published an article giving the locations of the dispensaries where we were filming at, and the cartel had to have a big sit down with one of our liaisons and was like, "Hey, man, somebody's going to pay for this."
He thought it was us.
Yeah, he thought the cartel thought that we released sensitive information about the whereabouts of the dispensaries. And so somebody's getting a spank on the ass with that wooden block. They're getting the tablazos. So I swore to never go back, but maybe we'll go somewhere else. Maybe we'll go to somewhere even more dangerous. That'd be good.
I mean, it goes south. If we according to Luis, that's where everything is going nuts right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. So my point is, we're not doing that. The point is, we're going to figure out how to do it without doing it. We're going to figure out how to,
because you and your new camera guy are going to have a great time down
I'm
there.
not going down. Well, you're going to be dead. So, yeah. So me and what's his face? What's Luis's cameraman's name?
Oh,
Tata. So yeah, no, we're going to figure out, where would you guys like to see us go? That could be a question for the chat. Where would you guys like to see us go? We're going to figure out a way to make this a drug travel show without
dying.
Yeah. We are going to go to Colombia.
So
Colombia's getting pushed back. We're going to New York in a few weeks. We're going to go up to Washington Heights. I am going to bring a knife. That just is what it is. We got to figure out how to get a strap over there.
And your pointing finger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe this will my gun is my pointer finger. Maybe we got to figure out how to get a strap, because this is what we're going to do. We are going to go to these neighborhoods in New York City in a few weeks. Brian, I'm getting tickets tomorrow. We're going to go up to Washington Heights to kind of see the neighborhoods where I used to get my product to the Trinitarios. They run Washington Heights. Most of the bricks come out of the Heights. We're going to go to the port where they get a lot in Greenpoint, where the bricks get offloaded. There's a lot of cool things to see in New York. That being said, New York's getting a little dicey over there these days. So one of us is going to be armed, because I'm not getting mugged. You know, we at least got to have a taser on us. We got to figure that out. Who wants to carry the taser? I got the felonies, so you're going to have to be the one with the weapons, Brian. Brian, I'll have a little something on me, but you're gonna have the big gun.
You're gonna be wearing me as your bulletproof vest, and I'll just have.
But how are you supposed to shoot somebody when you're also filming, Brian?
Great question.
That's what we got to figure out. So yeah, so we're gonna be going, but then I think in February,
first person shooter with the camera.
Oh, right, that's a good idea. Yeah, make a little video game. Yeah, stream it. That's not a bad idea. Stream our shanking in the subway while we wait. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that. A lot of good stuff. So go ahead. So that's what we're gonna do. So I want you to go subscribe to the Patreon or become a member of the YouTube channel.
Joseph is recommending, what about going to the Albanians, the Italian mafia, see how
we're going to be going over there when it's not so cold. We're going to be going over there in the springtime. I want to make a trip over to Napoli, and I want to film some stuff over there because I want to investigate the Camorra more. I want to investigate the 'Ndrangheta out of Calabria a little more.
You know where I want to go.
Ireland. That's
baby.
right.
Let's go talk to the
IRA.
Right.
I definitely would like to, and you can actually get interviews with those guys. Hey, basically, I'm saying I feel safer in the whiter countries. It is what it is.
That's nonsense, dude.
It's absolutely not nonsense.
In SF, we literally talked about how we felt more a larger sense of danger there than we did when we were in Culiacan.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's because when you're around a bunch of junkies that are out of their mind, there's a possibility of some real grimy stuff popping off. But I'm just saying, if we get taken hostage in Ireland or Mexico, who do you think the State Department is going to take a call first from? It's going to be Ireland, because I just want to go someplace. I want to go someplace where the government is stronger than the cartel. That's all I'm saying. Because really, of course, the odds of violence happening to you anywhere are very low. But when we're in Mexico, there's no calling the cops. We got to call the cartel if something happens to us. And ironically, those are also going to be our kidnappers. So it's like, I would just like to go someplace. I would like to go someplace where the chief.
This is where
I would like to go someplace. I would like to go someplace where the chief of police isn't also playing golf with the head of the cartel. That's all I'm saying. So that's why Ireland's a very good move. That's why I definitely want to go to Ireland. I mean, the Netherlands.
I don't want to go to Ireland with you anymore. I'm questioning this.
Why not? Ireland's fascinating, and we're absolutely going to go talk to some IRA people. We got to go to the north of Ireland. It's not Northern Ireland. It's the north of Ireland. We're going to go to Belfast. I want to go to Londonderry or Derry, depending on what side of the conflict that you fall on. I definitely want to do that, but we can't go over there right now. It's just too cold. It's just too far. It's just too cold. And I hate flying. I really hate flying. I hate flying. I think I am going to die every time I fly. I hate the process of traveling. I really don't like any of it. That's the reality. I just like being there, making the content. That's about the only thing that gives me joy. But yeah, we will be going over there. What else do we got? Do we have any other questions?
Nothing new yet. Yeah, I mean, you want to call it?
Well, how long have we been going for? Why did we get so much popping
minutes.
on our last Zoom and is anybody watching? Are we public?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good. Let's do a couple more headlines and then we'll get out of it. Then we'll get out of here. Let's do a couple more headlines. Let's see. Yeah.
While you look that up, I think we go to Russia. I'll put an empty hash cartridge in your carry-on bag, and we'll see how famous you actually are.
Well, that's a great point. First of all, we have people over in Russia who watch the show. Shout out to Russia. I mean, shout out to Russia, right? Now, we're not saying that we like Putin.
What are you shouting out?
I mean, just shout out Russia for standing up to the U.S. and U.S. imperialism. I mean, not for nothing. You guys also pretty imperialistic, but I like Russians. I did time with a lot of Russians. Look, let me tell you about the Russians.
Shout out the people of Russia. We're not gonna sit here and applaud
the Russians that I met in county jail. Some of the funniest people I've ever met, coolest people, craziest people. I was bunked up with these guys when I was in county. They told me these were like kids my age or younger. These were like 22, 23-year-old kids. And they would be like, I was like, because they steal cars. So I'd be like, well, what happens if you get pulled over when you're stealing a car, or even when you're not stealing a car, but you just have some dope on you? He goes, oh, we don't get pulled over. I said, what do you mean? He goes, oh yeah, no, if a cop attempts to pull us over, we run. That's just what we do. And you got to respect that. You got to respect that. You could be on your way to 7-Eleven and a cop gets behind you and you're like, well, I guess I'm going to be in a high-speed chase today. Like, these guys are wild. They had the credit card fraud down. They had the stolen car ring down. They had the identity theft down. Yeah, it was a real. In Portland, they got real. Yeah, the Russian mobsters are something else.
Noah says,
Shout out to Noah.
Go to San Pedro prison in Bolivia.
Yes. So, have you read the book Marching Powder? That was a very famous book while I was traveling throughout South America. Marching Powder is about this British dude, this black British guy who got caught smuggling drugs out of the Bolivian airport, and then he had to go serve 10 years in San Pedro prison in Bolivia. And it's just, you want to talk about a place with no law.
Is this just the plot to Midnight Express?
No. It's even wilder than Midnight Express. In this prison, San Pedro prison in Bolivia, these motherfuckers are not only doing and selling cocaine, they're making cocaine. They have coke labs inside of this prison. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah, it's wild. So that is, could we get access to that? Oh my God, producer. Do we have an episode? See, this is why you got to join the Patreon. Patreon.com/TheConnect Show. Become a member. You're producers in this show. It's your donations every month, your subscriptions that allow us to go and do these episodes. Can we look into that? Can you Google that really quick? Can we get access to film in this prison? Should I do my special in this prison? Should I go down there and do a comedy show for these guys? I don't know.
I still want to go down to the border of, was it Peru and Brazil, where there's that national park and they have their cocaine labs inside the national park.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy too. But I think if we can actually get access to this prison, I mean, look, it's all about what we can pay. So I think, because it became, this was a pretty famous book. Can you YouTube if anybody's done any? Can you look up to see if anybody's filmed in there?
Yeah, let me take a look.
Yeah, go check this book. If you guys want a great read, go check out this book by Rusty Young. Marching Powder is a 2003 nonfiction book written by Australian author Rusty Young. It is based on the true story of a British Tanzanian man, Thomas McFadden. Oh, that's right. So this Australian journalist went to the prison and met Thomas McFadden, who was apprehended in 1996 at La Paz Airport in Bolivia with 5 kilos of cocaine in his suitcase and incarcerated in San Pedro prison.
Yeah, there's been a couple documentaries.
Right.
In the prison.
Right. So are we just big fat hacks, or should we go do it?
Let's go do it.
Why not? But has anybody had a YouTube channel like us go do it? Like, has anybody had 520K subs?
A middling YouTube channel?
Yeah, dude, we are more than a middling YouTube channel. I mean, there's not many. I mean, we might not be like a gigantic YouTube channel, but we're a substantially sized YouTube channel, you know? So yeah, this is wild. And I think they're trying to make it into a movie. But that hasn't happened. That was 10 years ago. Hey, let's do it. So order of operations. We are going next month. So January, in a couple of weeks, we're going out to New York. February, we're going to Colombia. March, where should we go that's kind of warm and relatively close? Because I don't want to fly to Europe until it's until springtime.
There's a few local things that I've got in the works.
Yes,
I don't
that's
wanna
right.
announce any of that
Okay.
right now.
Okay. Very good. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's do a headline. Let's pull up. Let's talk about this.
Well, hold on. We got a question from Joseph. Sent us another one off of Patreon.
Okay. Anybody besides Joseph have a question? Participate, you fucks. Go ahead. No, we love Joseph. Go ahead.
That's a great way to get people in here.
No. We're kidding. We love you. We love you, Joseph.
Of all the
Come on.
organized crime, what organization is the most violent? We talking currently?
Yeah. Are we talking just drugs or are we talking
I just think organized crime.
organized crime? Well, producer Brian would say the United States government because he's a lefty. But gosh, organized.
I would say it would be U.S. business, not the government, because they're the real
Anyways,
ones in power.
that's just such like a typical answer. But no, I mean, overall, I mean, there's people in Liberia eating humans right now, right? Like, there's stuff we don't even know when it comes to all organized crime. Like, there could be, there's organ trafficking, right? There's Libyan warlords who kidnap children, and there's a bunch of horrendous stuff that I don't even know about. But if we're going to talk about like traditional organized crime or violent organized crime, I don't know, Brian, you want to take a stab in the dark? I mean, it's kind of anybody's ball game right now.
Well, I guess there's a few different ways that we could approach it, like in terms of most violent regarding just like the brutality of the violence.
Yeah.
Or is the approach of like
or
the amount of bodies that you've racked up?
Right, exactly. See, I would say with statistically, it's got to be the Mexican gangs. It's got to be the Zetas and the CJNG and Sinaloa. They drop tens of thousands of bodies every year in Mexico. So if you're just going by statistics, I would say the most violent cartels, mafias, are the Mexican cartels. They have way more bodies now than the Colombian cartels ever had.
I'm pulling up some stats.
Here. Okay. But I would say, Jacob, the kind of brutality, I would say MS-13. If we're talking Western Hemisphere, I would say it's the MS-13 who are, these guys are chopping heads off. They're feeding bodies to their dogs. They're doing all sorts of horrendous actions. I would say in the Western Hemisphere, it probably is something like Mata Salvatrucha. ISIS, right? ISIS is kind of a cartel in a way. They operate, they were selling drugs. They were moving drugs with the Calabrian and the Camorra Mafia, the Italian cartels during the pandemic. So, and those guys are absolutely like one of the most brutal groups to come out of the last 50 years. So I would say if you want to go like terroristic, cartel-ish, right? I would say it's ISIS. But of like the traditional just like gangs, I would say it's MS-13. If you want to talk about like the kind of brutality. But Brian, you have some stats?
Stats wise,
yeah.
Number one, there should be no surprise. La Cosa Nostra.
We're talking lifetime?
I would assume so. I mean, are we trying to
so
zero it down into the year?
Yeah, because I mean, like, okay, let's hear the stats.
But even still, they're like, yes, lifetime, but like they also are probably the most powerful organized group in the world.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, probably.
Number two, and this one makes a lot of sense. Wouldn't even thought of it, but it makes a lot of sense. The Yakuza.
Oh, the Japanese Yakuza. Well, they did just assassinate the president of Japan over there.
The Yakuza. So I very limited experience with the Yakuza, but I've been playing in bands my whole life.
Right.
All of my friends are musicians, touring musicians. And it's a lot kind of like what you were explaining about the Albanian mafia in London. In Japan, all of the clubs, like all the venues where bands go and play, they're all owned by the Yakuza.
Right.
And I knew a band that had booked a Japanese tour.
Yeah.
They were going to Japan. They were going to tour throughout the country. Everything was set up. And the band broke up before the tour happened. And so they, had to say, oh, we broke up. Sorry, we're not coming out and doing this tour. And the Yakuza reached out to them and basically said, all right, so here's the thing. You owe us this much money. We're going to start there. Second, you you have two options. You get back together, you come out here and you do this tour. Or if we ever find out that this band does a reunion or you guys play shows again, we have people near you and we will come after you.
And we'll reach out and touch you. That's like the old Godfather trope, right? He's got to get Johnny Fontaine out of his contract. They're saying, "Hey, motherfucker, get out there and play." But still, that's wild. Yes, I think I agree with you, Brian. I think the Cosa Nostra and the Yakuza and the Russian mafia certainly are some of the most what?
The Bratva?
Is that what they're called?
That's
the Bratva?
the Russian mob, yeah.
I think they are some of the most powerful organizations in the world. But in terms of bodies, in terms of sheer violence, I think you just got it. Just statistically alone, nobody's touching Mexico. Nobody's touching when you talk about like since 2006, even when like the war on cartels was officially declared by whoever that president was, who was also taking hundreds of $millions from the cartel. I mean, this is Mexico. It's wild. But nobody has dropped as many bodies. We're talking like 30,000 bodies a year, I think, like overall in Mexico that are related to cartel violence. So, yeah, I mean, no, but certainly like the most powerful cartels are for sure Cosa Nostra, the Russian mafia, people that go back generations and generations and generations. But yeah, that's kind of what I think.
Yeah.
And the Yakuza. Yakuza has been around forever too.
I'm trying to see if I can get something narrowed down to just like the last year.
Yeah. Just see. I mean, you could just look at murder rates. If that's murder rate, it's limited to murder rate and telling you exactly what you want to find out. But
yeah,
Yakuza's wild.
Statistics. It's what was there's like the Mark Twain line that's like there's
Please
two
don't
types
say it.
of lies.
So corny.
There's two types of lies, or three types: lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Right. Man, he was good, wasn't he? Any other questions from the chit chat? Guys, thank you.
Most dangerous criminal organizations. Dude, number 1 for 2022, MS-13.
Yeah.
Deadliest gang in the world.
Deadly. And how are they coming to that conclusion, I wonder?
Let me pull this up.
Yeah, MS-13. I mean, it's just so crazy down there. El Salvador. And started in LA. That's what's so interesting.
It doesn't have the raw stats here, but they've got MS-13 at number 1, Cosa Nostra at number 2.
Okay.
Sinaloa Cartel at 3.
Okay.
Crazy, because we're talking about this year.
Yeah.
Los Zetas at number 4.
Interesting.
Number 5. Take a guess. We were recently outside the birthplace of this organization.
Recently, the Hell's Angels,
where it was formed. No, but close, but not.
See, I don't believe any of this. If they're putting Hell's Angels in the top of the list,
no. I'm not. No, I'm saying this group. Like you're on the right path.
Stateside or in Mexico?
Stateside.
The Bloods and the Crips.
Nope, they're actually below this group. This gang came into existence in 1964 in San Quentin Prison.
The Aryan Brotherhood.
Yep.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so this list is more or less bullshit, but they're throwing in there something for everybody
because they went after your gang.
The AB is probably the most dangerous prison gang for sure. Besides like MS-13, that was technically started as a prison gang. That's interesting though. That's interesting. Yeah, no. The AB for sure is the most violent, absolutely, in California. I mean, those white boys are nuts, dude. I mean, they don't fight. They only use, like, if you got to go see somebody, it's about to be with a knife, you know? That's wild.
All right, so B. Ash here.
B. Ash, what's up, buddy? Thanks for the support.
Question. What are your thoughts on the Fast and Furious operation? A Sinaloa cartel member said it was to arm the Sinaloa cartel in exchange for information that the DEA could use against their rival cartel.
Wow. That's wild. I mean, I believe it. I believe it.
So I don't know. What is
the Fast and Furious was that scandal back under the during the Obama.
Everything?
What?
Where Vin Diesel told you the family is everything?
Yeah. It was involving, I think Vin Diesel, I think Ludacris was caught selling some arms to the Sinaloans. You know what they say. Oh, no, that was Ja Rule. Ja Rule had one of the best lines in that movie. It's not how you look driving your car. It's how you look standing next to your car. Like that was written. That was written, and they thought to put that in the movie, but it doesn't matter because the Chinese are the only people watching those movies. I totally believe it. That was when so you Google the Fast and the Furious scandal. It was under Obama. Basically, a DEA agent was, I believe, buying an undercover DEA agent was buying weapons from America, from clans or straw buyers in America, and then reselling them to the cartels. I think that stuff happens constantly. I think that was
the ATF. Wow.
It was the ATF. So read off exactly what happened with that.
Gun walking, or letting guns walk, was a tactic used by Arizona U.S. Attorney's Office and the Arizona Field Office of the United States Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives.
Right. So what was happening?
Between which ran a series of sting operations between 2006 and 2011 in Tucson and Phoenix, where the ATF purposely allowed licensed firearms dealers to sell weapons to illegal straw buyers, hoping to track the guns to Mexican cartel leaders and arrest them.
Right.
These operations were done under the project Gun Runner. Wow. So it was entrapment.
So essentially, it's what the government, it's what the Americans always do. They allow crime to happen to catch the bigger criminal. But countless weapons were allowed to be purchased and sold to Mexican cartels that, who knows how many people they were used to kill, right? I think that happens all the time. To say that was an isolated incident is bullshit. I think it happens all the time. By the way, that's a business that we're getting into, by the way. Me and Brian will be gun running.
Says right here, President Barack
if you do not
Obama,
subscribe.
President Barack Obama had invoked executive privilege for the first time in his presidency in order to withhold documents that were not generated in the course of the conduct of Fast and Furious.
Right. So basically, he wanted to stop information leaking from that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's this guy saying? The conspiracy is that the DEA did that on purpose to arm one of the cartels. So the cartel in exchange would give up info on another cartel.
Yeah. So he said,
I think it's totally plausible, as we've seen.
So a member of the Sinaloa cartel, I guess, said, I'm assuming anonymously,
right?
It was to arm the Sinaloa cartel in exchange for information that the DEA could use against their rival cartel, which is a very common practice. Like maybe not necessarily with the use of running guns, but like allowing, like you were saying, allowing crime to happen.
Totally. It's this is the CIA.
Oh, the cartel member that said this was named Jesus Zambada Niebla. I don't know.
Jesus Zambada Niebla. Carajo mierda.
Wow, that's crazy. He went on record saying, I guess, yeah, if you're like, fuck the DEA.
Dude, of course. I mean, look, this is the same thing as the CIA allowing Pablo to move cocaine through Nicaragua in the 80s to arm the rebel group, right? This is the same, like, they don't want crime to end. The worst thing that could happen to the U.S. government is that people in America stop using drugs. That is a nightmare for them, because that means the cartel has nobody to sell drugs to. That means they have no reason to exist. Yeah, absolutely. I totally believe that. That's a great point. Who wrote that in?
B. Ash.
Yeah, B. Ash. That is not B. Ash. What you just said. That is. I totally. I think it happens all the time. I think there's the Fast and the Furious they just happen to get caught this time.
Yeah.
Like it happened to break from, some journalist, but I think this is probably standard operating procedure for the U.S. government.
And Paul Walker just had to take the hit for everybody.
Yeah, Paul Walker died mysteriously after that in a automobile accident. Yeah, BS. You took a living legend, Obama. That I'm going on record as saying Barack Obama killed Paul Walker. Subscribe to the Patreon. You guys, we had a great time.
Last one.
Yeah, last question.
This came in from Noah. I want to make sure that we get Noah's.
Who's this from?
Here.
Oh, from Noah.
Is Tijuana the best cartel city in Mexico other than Culiacan?
What is it? What do you mean by best cartel city? No, I would say Guadalajara is the best cartel city, and I'll tell you why. Because they got the baddest bitches. Make no mistake, Mexican women, by and large, not the best looking. Okay,
That's insane.
it's not insane, Brian. I know what I saw with my 2 eyes, and I smelled with my 2 nostrils down there in Culiacan. But you go to Guadalajara, they look like Argentinians almost. They're hot. They got fake tits, fake asses like Colombians. They got beautiful facial features like Argentinians. Guadalajara is far and away one of the best cartel cities, better than TJ. Although shout out to the Hong Kong Inn because they do have some hot.
I think this might be more in terms of like operation.
Oh,
that's how I read it. Noah, please.
Sorry, Noah, please elaborate. Probably what's the best city to operate out of? Yeah, I would totally. I think because of the 2.
But is it because what we were just saying is like it's almost impossible to have like sustained stranglehold
on Tijuana?
because of it being on the border. People are always going to come after you.
Right. I think for sure. If I were a cartel kingpin, I would want to use a smaller border city. Like I would want to go like Mexicali or Nogales or something like that, because I don't know. It just seems like when things are smaller, they're easier to control. So it just seems like you have less, not that there's not a lot of, I would want to be away from the Americans as much as possible. So I would rather be in remote areas where.
But those are your buyers. That's your market.
Yeah, but you smuggle drugs through Arizona and they make it all over you just got to get it across the border. So I would rather be in a remote place. That's a very good question. This is why we need to actually interview a kingpin. What's your favorite?
Oh, Noah said like the most dangerous.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Probably.
I wouldn't even consider Culiacan dangerous. Though,
yeah, Culiacan's not really dangerous.
Like obviously it is if the wrong thing happens.
Yeah,
but it's such a stronghold.
Yeah,
there was like there's just this almost eerie sense of order there.
It's eerie for sure, but it was definitely not like we said. There's no homeless people. I didn't see any homeless people. There's no like it's very orderly. The streets are swept. That's all, and that's all like drug money.
People are nice. Everybody says hello when you walk past them. Like
friendly people.
Friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say like the most dangerous border cities are probably the ones in the east.
Well, cartel cities, like dude, like Juarez,
yeah,
dude, always a war zone.
Yeah,
but even Juarez, like Acapulco, like because of especially if you're talking about dangerous as an outsider.
Or even like now like Colima. The provinces of Colima and as we said, Michoacan, because they have big ports.
Yeah.
They have big Pacific side ports, which are where the submarines from Colombia are coming up. So they're dropping bodies over those things.
But like as an ordinary person, honestly, places like Mexico City, you're more likely to come face to face with crime and be a victim of crime.
Yeah, for sure.
Albeit, probably some kind of petty crime.
Street crime, yeah.
But like in these like cartel like strongholds, that kind of stuff doesn't happen.
For
like,
sure.
It's like being in the hood. Like if you're in the hood, you're not fucking with anybody.
Yeah.
You're not part of the game. I'm just passing through. I'm just kind of doing my thing.
That's right.
You're not asking questions. It's completely safe. You can have a great time in most of these places.
Yeah. So I totally agree. I think Tijuana is definitely not the most violent because they got a lot of tourists there too. I'd say, the most violent places right now in Mexico, the most violent cities, Acapulco, places like Zacatecas, small towns on the border. What's the town like Brownsville, Texas? Could you pull up the map, Ryan? Like those little cities that border Eastern Texas, like Tampico, I think, or those places. They're super contested, and places in Michoacan, super violent. I mean, like military level assaults, massacres, right?
Right next to Brownsville.
Yeah, just like right below that. What's that region?
Matamoros.
Yeah, Matamoros. I mean, it's got the name death in it. Matamoros, right? So, I mean, that literally means kill a guy. A moro is like slang for like a dude, and mata is killed, mata moros. So yeah, but no, TJ, I mean, as long as you have a place like the Hong Kong Inn, one of the best brothels in North America, if not the world, operating with some of the hottest toots, that city's going to be all right by me, as far as I'm concerned. Also, shout out to El Marlin, also a really good whorehouse if you find yourself in Ensenada. But anyways, that's another episode. You guys, this has been the Connect Live. Keep subscribing. It is gonna be our goal to put out more Patreon content and give you more value than any other channel in any other genre. So here's gonna be my little piece of advice to all you aspiring entrepreneurs out there. Go read the book, The Science of Growing Rich. It's a very small book, 150 pages. And one of the things I took away from it is if you want to get rich, you must supply a product that is greater in value than the money you're taking from it. So if you are paying $9.99 a month to be a member of the Patreon, we are going to give you $40 a month in value. That is my promise. Brian, we need to step it up. Live Zooms, one-on-ones, bonus episodes every week. We're coming for you. We love you. Shout out to the Patreon and, Trump 2024. We'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Trump 2020.